Hi, this is Bob Roberts, and I'm the dead man talking. I have stage 4 cancer and very likely only a few months to live. I have invited 4 of my best friends from college days to talk about cancer, suffering, death, hope, and God. I can't wait for you to meet Will Gawkin, Jason Jans, Ellis Murphy, and Josh Darnell. My desire is to tackle big questions and challenges that my probable near-term demise raises, and to always season the sobering with humanity and humor. Don't expect nice and tidy solutions with a bow on top. It's going to get messy.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Dead Man Talking podcast. This episode is Bob's bucket list 10 things to check off before I check out. This episode will cover the first 5 on his bucket list. And also Will Gawkin traveled down to be with him during treatment, and you'll see some of those photos here. Enjoy our 3rd episode. All right, welcome to episode 3 of the Dead Man Talking podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Bob's bucket list, 10 things on his checklist before he checks out. Now that title might jar you a little bit, but Bob this is his show. This is what he wants to talk about. And, our posture here is we are going to hope for the best, pray for the best, and plan for the worst. So this is one of those plan for the worst episodes where, we also want to know, Bob, are you ready? Is everything lined up in case this doesn't go the way we desire? So that's what we're talking about today on Dead Man Talking. But this past week, one of the podcast members, Will Gawkin, traveled to Phoenix, Arizona to be with Bob for his treatment day. So Will, tell us how it went.
Yeah, I got up early on Thursday and flew down to Phoenix, and Bob picked me up, and we went straight to his treatment facility. You know what's funny is how many of the workers actually liked Bob. He was giving hugs to everyone. And in fact, Bob, what are some of the, if you were to do a shout out for some of the folks there, who are some of your faves?
Oh, man. There's Frank, Alcides, Melissa, Yaima, Caitlin, Jesus, Jose, who we call Yeye, Tina, Berto. I mean, there's probably about 15 or 20 there. I'm sure I missed somebody, but I've had such good interaction with all of them. Misha, who's from Poland, and she's just been a huge blessing and help, one of my nurses there. So, yeah.
Bob, it was just fun just to hang out, but our whole talks, we kind of went all over the map. I felt like we were in 1 minute, we're like talking about the most trivial or the most nostalgic. We did a Facebook stock of all sorts of friends and sent messages to just random people that we've never talked to for years. And then I don't know, there was a couple times we just went deep. And it's amazing when you do 30 years with a person. It's like you just forget all the different memories. We probably cried like in the middle of almost every conversation.
In times at least.
We'd be laughing, and then we just start crying. And it was too short. It was just the day, and yet it was really sacred. It was just beautiful because I think there's things sometimes that you go through that you kind of want to know the backside of a story, or you want to know my motive to a story, or what were you thinking, and I don't know. I think it's times like this that you just feel free to go for it, and you just ask each other like really real and deep questions. And so I don't know about you, Bob. That was probably one of my top 10 days of my life. I mean, I just really was blessed by it.
So I want to comment briefly because I just want people to know that it was really a perfect storm to get to bedrock transparency for 2 reasons. Number one, I think I'm dying soon. So it's like, what have I got to lose? There's kind of a fearlessness now. And then it's also you. And I've told people I think every person has a level from 1 to 20. 1 being the more surfacey, let's talk about the rain or how sunny it is outside. 20 is like the jugular of your DNA, like the absolute bedrock. And most people are content to land and live somewhere between 1 and 5, right? That's the safe zone. And 4 and 5 might be talking about your kids or some of your hobbies and stuff. And then when you get to 17, 18, 19, 20, I mean, you are just taking every mask off. You are getting to the essence of who you are. And I feel like we actually hit level 20 a few times. And it was raw, it was helpful. It got me doing background processing of things I need yet to do, especially with like my parents, things I want to write to them, say to them. What a treasure to have a friendship like that where you can peel off every layer of onion and just get to the absolute essence. So thank
you guys
you.
give us one level 20 convo?
Yeah, I think just without going into details, but I think, parents, my dad's passed away. And so, there's things that you process that maybe weren't right, or maybe things about my relationship that way that weren't right. It just seems like Bob's got a window to maybe write a letter to his mom that maybe she could read to her to his dad. And Bob, going away last night, and I read a book on the plane, but I don't think I read a book. When I flew back, I was just processing, and I actually got home, and Christy's asked how was it, and I was like, because I think when we go it was mainly directed to you, but it forced me to kind of live at the same level of transparency in my own heart, and so I feel like it's never like top down, or in real friendship, it's bi-directional, so like whatever we were talking on depth of you, I mean, I'm having to process in my own heart about me. We had fun too. We ran around the Chinese market and bought crazy stuff.
We asked this 4 foot, maybe 4'7" little human, what Chinese medicine cures cancer? And basically, like the manager came kind of
Why it didn't work, Bob, is because
to cover her as she was trying to explain.
Neither one of us are Jay Jans. That's why it didn't work. Like we kind of tried to ask the question, but we bailed. Like we didn't have the fortitude. We didn't have the fortitude. Yeah, we felt a little bit of insecurity or embarrassment. And we're like, yeah, we're out. And
you just gotta go for it.
Yeah. So let me just make a short comment about when Jay was here. Jay was in all his resplendent glory because he had me almost like as this big pet monkey to walk around and introduce to everybody as, hey, guess what? This big guy here, he's dying. And Jay, you got to understand something about him. He loves to create awkward situations and just observe people. I think he lives for it. And I was the greatest tool he's ever had in his toolkit to create awkward situations. And some hilarity ensued. Some
discounts.
We probably got $100 of free cologne samples when Jay played the cancer card.
Bob, I would say though that when we went to the jet ski rental on Pleasant Lake, you dropped the cancer bomb in the middle of two people behind the desk and 4 guests in line who were all maybe 18 years old. And they thought it might have been a joke, but they didn't want to laugh. And I was like, no, it's for real. And they were like, oh my word. And Bob, you were like, yep. And I might die. This is my last jet ski ride. And you were all chipper. And I'm like, I'm trying to like mitigate your crazy in the middle of the room because they're already like, they're emoting. And you're just like, yep, I'm Cancer Bob, And I may not be around very long.
That was good for them. That built a lot of character in that moment.
I think they gave us 10 extra minutes on the jet ski too. But I will say Bob is one terrible jet ski partner.
Well, I think that's a weight thing. How many pounds is supposed to be on a jet ski?
No. It's an only child thing. No, he wouldn't hug me.
Oh,
Yeah, he would wrap his loving arms around him. I knew that was going to happen.
right.
You got to get in there and get a good.
We have video proof of that, don't we? We could probably magically toss that up right now.
Here we go. Dude, do not move, I'm bro. Not moving, Harold. Why don't you hang on to me? Well,
I want you to know the weight limit was 350 pounds. And Jay and I have a combined total. And I'm actually quite proud of this because I'm 6'8", and Jay is 5 foot. What are you? 11? 10?
You're gonna fat shame me right here on the podcast. Bob looks at me and goes,
40.
Jason, this is what Bob really said to me. He goes, Jay, I think you're really good looking without a dad bod. You're like George Clooney, but you got a dad bod. I mean, what am I supposed to say to that? I'm like, you're Mr. Universe there, Mr. Roberts.
No, not now.
490 pounds, 490 pounds on the 350-pound jet ski.
Oh, yeah, that's an issue.
We had issues.
Buoyancy. Well, hey, I've got this list, and you guys, we kind of batted this around, and you kind of challenged me to do a top 10 bucket list. And I thought that we could just kind of go through each one and riff on it a bit. And hopefully this would bless people. People could see a lot of hope in the face of death. People could also maybe even practically think of some things for their future. So I'm just going to go ahead and launch out. So number one, what's my bucket list here? To fight against death to the glory of God. So death is my enemy. Death is a weapon of my ultimate enemy, which is evil. And we might say the figurehead of that evil is Satan and the devil. And I am, in a sense, by physically fighting against the death that is in my body, I'm uniting with the story of Jesus, who fought against death and crushed it. And his strategy of crushing death was to die and rise again. So I feel very liberated to go all in with the medical, physical fight against death. Somebody asked me after seeing one of my Facebook posts, in fact, a very dear friend asked me, hey, if you think this cancer was ordained by God, then why are you even fighting it? Why don't you just roll over? And I said, well, I do think that this trial, this valley was ordained by God, but I'm not certain of the end of that. I don't know the expiration date. And I think that there is much glory by fighting against that death in me until I cannot fight any longer. I will go down swinging hard.
Yeah, I love it.
What have you done to fight? Let everybody know.
So I have spent a lot of money, a lot of my own money, and a lot of money from generous people. And this podcast is not trying to be a fundraiser in any way, shape, or form, but God has raised up so many other friends and supporters to help me fight. I'm currently at an experimental oncology, an integrated oncology clinic here in Arizona, and I am spending about $8,000 a week because it's non-insurable. And the main technique, the main therapy is insulin potentiate therapy, where they lower your blood sugar, they jam 6 or 7 different types of chemo in your body when the cancer's starving, and then they mix it with glucose, and that glucose kind of acts as a Trojan horse to allow the chemo to really impact the cancer and try to push it back, try to put it into some type of managed remission. I have changed my diet. I have eliminated almost all sugar from my diet. I have done just about everything on the internet that you're seeing nowadays, bendazole, ivermectin. I'm popping ivermectins like Pez candy. And my clinic is like, it's okay. It's okay. Because at this point, what have you got to lose? Like all my all my current medical options are poor. So I'm just throwing I'm throwing the kitchen sink at this thing in conjunction with what I'm doing at the clinic, and the clinic is pretty fine with that.
And you
So I'm
did,
fighting, man.
and you did the first round of traditional chemo last year too.
I did. I did 6 months of something called Fox, which is a chemotherapy straight out of the 60s. I mean, it is nuclear. It is a napalm bomb going off in your body. I did 10 rounds. Most people only do 5 or 6 rounds of that. It damaged me permanently, probably lost about 10, 15 IQ points in addition to severe neuropathy that I'm still struggling with. So and I was pronounced disease free, and then a few months later, my liver's full of cancer. So that's Western medicine for you.
Great.
I think also, just the exercise. I mean, you're hitting the mountains there in Arizona. We didn't hit a mountain. We walked around a mall, probably logged in about 2 miles just walking around a mall. And I think some of even like this effort right here is your way of fighting, on a spiritual, emotional level, saying
Absolutely.
I'm gonna declare this.
So number two is to prepare my family as best I can. And I've got a small family, but just a truly blessed one. I have my wife, Sarah, and we have met in 2006, married in 2007, and she is awesome. I adore her. I respect her. She grew up in the Sahara Desert to a missionary family and then came back to the States and grew up in Beaufort, South Carolina. So I'm a Michigander that married a true Southern belle with some Sahara Desert. And then my daughter is Cadence Grace, and she is just an absolute light in the world. She came into our home when she was about 14 months old. She's a Hong Kong girl. Sarah and I were living in Hong Kong when we adopted her. And, you know, some people talk about regrets in life. That is one thing that is the antithesis of regret. I'm so glad that we adopted that child. So one of the things that I have done is to identify my biggest human fears of leaving Earth early and leaving my family. And I mean that hurts. That's probably the number one. No, that is the number one reason why I am fighting to stay alive is my family. And I have two big fears that I've identified. Some parts of those fears are out of my control, even now, and certainly will be out of my control then. But there are things that I can do to kind of attack humanly both of those fears. And I have made good strides and I have yet more to do. So let me tell you my two fears. My first fear is for my wife and just managing the day-to-day kind of finances, taking care of insurance, that kind of thing. And I have been the provider. I have managed the finances for our married life, and she's just kind of let me do that. And so now I'm inviting her fully into the process, letting her know everything that I've done, have. We've secured an attorney for her just in case. We've prepared a living will and then an official will. And we've gone through all those kind of practical steps so that if I were to drop dead tonight, she would be okay. But there's probably about 5 to 10 more things that I can do to kind of alleviate that fear of just having her handle everything. And this is not I'm not worried about the capacity issues of my wife. She's very intelligent, capable. She just hasn't done this during the 18 years we've been married. So that's one thing I've been doing. And then another thing is, and this is far more emotional because some of you guys are deeply involved in that. And Jason, you helped me with this idea that I'm about to articulate. My other fear is my daughter. She's 13 years old. She's a bubbly, friendly, wonderful girl who is kind of a tomboy, and she's rough and tumble and would much rather hang out with boys than girls. And she's very likable. And I mean, we're all dads here, man. And some of you are girl dads, and the desire to be that shield for your daughter and to speak fatherly truth and fatherly wisdom into her life. And so it's a fear to not be there from like age 13 to 20 or whatever. And so I've asked some of you even on this thread that you would kind of be a father figure if I should pass. And Jay, what was the name of that group or that book that you recommended to me?
Yeah, it was a man who was dying of cancer who created a council of men, and he asked some of his
Council of
friends
Men.
to be a counsel for his, I think, daughters before he passed away. And he ended up surviving the cancer, and he kept the counsel. It was so positive for his daughters.
What I've asked several friends, I think I've got 4 people involved in this, maybe 5 now, to take some time every year to invite my child into your family and then to also recognize big days for her, big achievements for her, and just speak fatherly truth into her life. And that has helped alleviate that fear. Obviously, it's not a full alleviation, but that's how I've prepared as best as I can.
How can we help Sarah?
I don't think she likes any of y'all.
She might like Ellis. She doesn't know Ellis.
I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Nothing's coming to mind. The Council of Dads idea, I think she's totally for that. She'd love that idea.
All right, now for number 3.
Okay, so number 3 on the bucket list is to love my church by discipling them as long as I can, especially regarding my valley, my current valley road. So I've been a part of a church for 7 years now that is a Slavic church. It's made up of probably about 500, maybe 600 on a really good Sunday, Slavic believers. That's Ukrainians, Russians, Moldovans, Kazakhstanis, Uzbekistanis, former Soviet states. I don't speak Russian fluently. I've learned enough to be dangerous. Uh, but this is probably the greatest ministry gift that I've had in my life. I absolutely love my church. I miss my church right now as I can't be there because of the treatments. And to connect to this local church, this community of people, has just caused there to be well springs of life and vitality in me and my family. And so one of the ways that I can love them, especially right now, is to just show hope and joy in the face of death, because they've seen the reports, they've seen the biopsy, they know about the PET scan, they know what current Western medical is saying about somebody in my condition. And so for them to hear words that are filled with faith and not just placebo words, not just platitudes, and not just slogans either, but to see somebody actually walking through the valley with joy. I think that that's hard for anybody to explain humanly. And so that's the reality that I'm inviting my church into as they walk alongside me as far as they can, because everybody's going to die. And what I pray for my church members, these dear brothers and sisters, is that when their time comes, they would die well. They would die with hope. They would die with joy. And that only comes through faith. It comes through faith.
Yeah, I think that is part of the role of a pastor. I mean, it's people joke, Mary and Barry, But I think my role prior to being a pastor was focused on, conversion and proclamation of the gospel. And sometimes I just forgot or didn't see the importance of helping people walk through the valley. And I think what you're saying is spot on.
Hey, Bob, you said your churches, they've been walking this road with you so far. How specifically have they walked, not just beside you, but walked beside your wife and your daughter? And I'll ask this, what kind of commitments have they made to continue to walk along with your wife and daughter, especially should you pass?
So I think the first thing that comes to mind is just consistent human touches, just reaching out, whether it's phone calls, text messages, just checking in. There's just been a willingness to serve us in our time of need, just a expression of care, meals, plenty of borscht. And that's in part thanks to Jason Jans, who lovingly announced to all Slavic ladies in my church, who are all marvelous chefs and cooks in the kitchen. Big Bob loves borscht.
Spasiba bolshoi, господа.
So
Yes, I told them that would be a sign of great love and comfort.
it is the familial love. It's just like when you're with your own children, your own family, your own brothers and sisters, and just the openness, the joy that is generated because of proximity, right? The fellowship is rooted in our faith in Christ, our mutual love for Christ. And I know they love me. I know they love me. I know they love me because they let me preach to them. They let me speak to them every chance I can get. And I'm just not that good of a preacher. So it's like, oh, I can be useful. I can be a blessing to them as they're blessing me. So it's always a two-way street.
Yeah.
A specific way in which my church is blessing me is one of my dear friends and brothers and church members flew down here. Will left last night, and then my friend Andre landed here, and we spent all yesterday evening together, talking into the wee hours of the morning, praying, crying out to God. And then this morning we drove up to Sedona, and that's just been a tremendous time. And it's not just like trying to squeeze in new experiences. I mean, there's humanly some of that, but it's just the desire to be with people that I love and that love me. And that's my church. I just want to be with my church.
All right. Number 4.
Do this podcast. So I've been planning this all my life. I have all of my long years of luring you into this friendship has been for this moment that I just want to croak and I want to go out with style. And I thought, man, here it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what we learned at Northland, is how to do a podcast in style. That's our strength.
And you look like it right now, brother. You look like style on parade. Pale green shirt with a brown wall and a fake Van Gogh.
Hey, I'm getting in touch with my birth year. 1973, baby.
73 all the way, man. 80s music.
None of us are good at this. We've all had a steep learning curve. We've bought things off Amazon. We found the cheapest. Jay came at us with, you should buy this mic, this headset. Josh bought a lamp at Goodwill. There it
is. Are you sure he bought it?
We should not. There should be podcast crimes, because we're doing all of them, right? Like, look at that. Amazingly, the glare is not that bad. So we got Mike. Jay, Jay's like, here's what you need to go. Boom, 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 boom. And we all bought completely different stuff because it was cheaper to buy the stuff that looked like it was
I'm
what Jay
glad you're
wanted
telling
us to
everybody
buy.
that you do not listen, because I think everybody else did listen. But
I think the sound issues that we're having is not from mine or Jay's or Ellis's.
Yeah. Well, anyway, to do this podcast was an effort to do something together that would be along the lines of all of our life mission, all of our life goals have been pretty Jesus centric, pretty gospel centric. And I thought that we could do this and flavor in a very transparent way our discussions with hoping in Jesus. And you're the guys I wanted to do it with. I mean, you're my closest friends in the whole wide world. I don't want to waste my cancer. So this is an effort to utilize my cancer and the increased platform. So it's like, dear Lord, please use me. When do I start preaching like Charles Spurgeon? Dear Lord, please use me. When do I start writing like C.S. Lewis? And God's like, well, you're barking up the wrong tree, but I'm gonna use you. I'm gonna squeeze some Christ out of the Christian. Here you go. Cancer. And now I'm actually entering what feels to me to be probably the most fruitful season of my ministry. And it is because of my weakness. And so his strength is once again shown.
You've been off Facebook for like 7 years, and you kicked it back up. I mean, any highlights, kind of like in a generic way, of just people responding to you, that you're seeing that this mission is being accomplished?
I've just been able to reconnect with so many, and even like reconnecting with Scott this week and Christy because of just thinking through some of our old college buddies and the joy that was. I mean, the conversation thread that we had with both of them was just like so good. And it wasn't crippling nostalgia. It was like gratitude producing nostalgia. Just like, thank you for my journey. Thank you for Northland Baptist Bible College that was in the frozen tundra, and the water tower froze and the National Guard had to come and save us.
I want to just give a little highlight of what's happened with the start of the podcast, and then maybe everybody can go around and kind of give a blessing, from the podcast. But we didn't know what we were doing. The first podcast obviously was a disaster. The first episode, we decided to go with it anyway, kind of a YOLO experience.
Wait, you did. You decided to go with it. YOLO.
Yes, Bob didn't really like his bedhead, but we decided we don't care. And we were like, Bob, this is entertainment here. So
Yeah, it's not about you, Bob.
we got to watch you in pain live, and we get to watch it over and over again. You did say your wife was rolling.
She was rolling, and the irony is, she texts me and she goes, "This is so good because people are going to finally get to see the real you."
But only 10% of podcasts ever created get over 400 downloads in the first week, and we will surpass that. And I just got a notification we're number 106 on all podcasts in the subject of Christianity and spirituality. So kind of a surprise hit, couple 1,000 views on YouTube, and Bob's Facebook come out with everybody. Probably tens of thousands of people have connected with portions of the content so far. So that's just been a blessing. I will say personally, a blessing for me is my own son, who is currently now scuba diving in Bali on a marine biology internship, who I don't get to talk to that much. Basically, listened to the whole thing and said, "Dad, this is great. This is so full of wisdom. I'm going to listen to every episode." So little did I know that it would touch my son halfway around the world. But Bob, thanks for spurring us on to this idea.
We mentioned this in the last recording session we had. It's just been a blessing to sit on here for a couple of hours with you guys a couple nights a week and just talk. I mean, not just the laughter, but the laughter and the wisdom and the realness and just the transparency. It's been a marvelous blessing to my soul. And I've got a story similar to Jason's. I have a son who is a bit of I would say a skeptic to the things of God. And he called me today just to say he listened to it. He subscribed. He wanted to listen to all of it. He was blown away by the guy he called Mr. Roberts. Blown away by Mr. Roberts, just absolute authentic faith and trust in God. And I think we all probably have those people in our lives that have reached out just through that one first episode already to say that same thing. So just just a marvelous kind of a stamp for me that this little idea of yours to do a podcast with some buddies is like really good work.
Yeah, I think this has been just recalibrating for me. I think if I look back in life, it seems like there's different things that the Lord has done to just kind of circle me back up relationally, missionally. I think just like yesterday being with you, Bob, or 2 days ago, I was just forced to sit in that clinic. I was forced to see you slow down because your liver pain. Like it just recalibrates. I'm like, wait a minute, we're all heading here, and we as humans just need these things to kind of anchor us back into what matters. And so that's personally been a blessing. Then just ministerially, just people, like just lots of people reaching out and saying things and talking about their trials and their circumstances, and it's just fuel for me personally.
When the idea came up about doing a podcast, I really wasn't that fired up about it. I'd do anything for Bob. I mean, period. And I had to really give it over to the Lord. Do I want to do something like this? Because just being a part of the Ukraine war the last 3 years, I've lost a whole bunch of my guys. And I'm dealing with PTS a lot right now. Desire to isolate, insomnia issues, great pain, difficulty. And I speak to my soldiers regularly, and I'm dealing with a bunch of my guys getting killed. So, but it's been a great reminder to me of God's goodness, no matter how bad things get. Yeah, I had a soldier yesterday tell me another one of my guys survived. And I went, that's good. That's the goodness of the Lord, living or dying. And so this has been really good for me to not isolate. So, and I'm not alone. There's a lot of people going through different things in life that they would kind of want to just not talk a whole lot. So I'm glad this is, and I normally want to talk about a lot of stuff, but the war's been tough on a lot of people in Europe. So I appreciate us doing the podcast. And I sure love some borscht from Ukraine. Amen.
All right, so number 5, and I think we're going to close with this one, punt and do another 5 for the second podcast in this series of the checklist before I check out. And I'm just going to come at all you guys with something that's not going to sound quite right, but I'm going to explain it. So my number 5 bucket list goal is to be a burden. I have lived my life trying to not be a burden. I have tried to live my life wanting to be the guy with the biggest shoulders in the room. I'm an only child. I'm a people pleaser. I want everybody happy. I never want to be the source of discontent or having to need somebody. And I think that I've lived most of my life like that. It's only a couple times I can remember where I just felt like I needed someone. And even even in thinking about it, thinking through this with Will the other day, Will's like, when did you really start needing us as friends? And that just kind of jolted me. That just really kind of shocked me into the reality of, man, I think it's just been recent where I've been faced with my own mortality and things are going okay right now. I have probably 70-80% capacity. Today's been a rough day. I've had a lot of pain. I've had some weakness. I feel my body diminishing. But when you start reading about about what's going to happen, if the liver cancer, the cancer in my liver kind of takes over and the liver starts shutting down, like what expectations I have, I just keenly aware that I'm not making it alone. I'm not making it from here to there without these guys.
Bob, the other day when we were talking, that was that was the closest I've ever felt to you.
Yeah.
Because it was like you were like, I need you guys to help me to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like all of a sudden I thought, wow, I mean, and I'm not trying to make a slight. I'm like, I've never heard you say that before. Like I was like, I'm your friend, man. I'm there for you. Like it was like I just felt close to you. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we could just take a shot here and kind of just work our way around and just say a few things. Bob, I just want to affirm, man, you're Christ in you. Like the fact that you live out Christ is the real deal, and it's a blessing. And tangibly, I think I see it through your humility. Like you're pretty smart, you know it. And there's seasons where you can be pretty arrogant, and yet there's actually a deeper humility. And the joy of a 30-year relationship is like I could actually take this whole podcast and give like 5 specific times that you like said, I surrender to God. And I feel like right now in this trial right here, that's what I see. Like for you to get so straight up with me yesterday or day before, I mean, that's the work of God in giving humility. And we get grace by being humble, but it's all of grace to get humble. And I just am so thankful, Bob, to be a part of this.
And I want to say, Bob, that I just want to thank you for being vulnerable. It's a gift that you're giving to not only me and us in this group, but to other people. And I just hope that the Lord can pay that forward to people when they're in great difficulty and just being vulnerable. I just want to thank you for that. And I appreciate it greatly.
Yeah, Bob, I was just sitting here thinking about this. Maybe 10 or 11 years ago, there was a group that you and I were part of together briefly, with some of the people on this screen right now. And I think there were 6 of us, maybe 7, I don't remember. And we were plowing into some depth with one another. And you kind of pulled away from that group a little bit because it was weird to you to have that kind of vulnerability at the time, and that kind of I need to pour into men, and I need men to pour into me. I think one of the most beautiful things I'm seeing from this seat that you've let us have at this table is you being stripped of that, and in a positive way, just some God-given humility coming out of it. And it is absolutely beautiful. And there's a richness and a depth that's flowing from you in that place right now that I can say I can't get enough of.
Yeah, Bob, I want to say the closest I ever felt to you was last week when we checked into that hotel room, and you only got one bed in the hotel room, and so a king bed
This is
has
my
never
choice.
it has never
There was
looked
a
so small.
baseball contest.
Sure, a baseball conference, right? So I felt close to you in those moments there in that hotel room.
I did too until you hooked up to that CPAP.
Well,
That's when I know you're done with the conversation.
Bob was like my wife. Like once I put the CPAP machine on, he's like, "Oh, you're done talking to me now, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, please let me go to sleep, Bob." Which, by the way, Bob was sleeping fully clothed.
Yes.
I reached over to give him a goodnight kiss, and realized he was scared to death of me. But I want to say, Bob, first.
Wait, I want to say one more thing about. I woke up equally happy and equally terrified at the same thing. That I slept well next to you at age 51.
Bob, I want to say here, I want you to know, like, I will do anything for you. Anything.
Mm.
So I just want
I
you
know.
to know that. Like, and if you say jump, if you say my family needs you, I'm there. Like, and I think I can say that for everybody here. Like, I just first want you to know, like, you've got a band of brothers that whatever you need, tell us, and please let yourself be a burden to us. It is a blessing to us to be able to bear anything with you. That's why the podcast is kind of fun, because you wanted to do it. It's like, okay, now we can do something. But I want to say also a way that like you are deeply blessing me is, I think a year ago when we flew out there and we got that Airbnb and spent a couple days together, your first round, and we were far more hopeful, I think, than we are the news that we're getting now. But I've noticed also, like, you had a year, and then when it came back, it's almost like you were ready, because there was a total different like flex, I think, on this round two, and you knew it was bad. I think in the back of your mind, you said you knew it was probably going to come back. But I've watched you charge like a Christian warrior into this phase, and I got to observe it there with you. But you are in like take care of my body mode and stay close to Jesus mode and minister to other people mode. And you told us before the podcast today you're now getting an hour to 2 hours of responding to messages or to returning phone calls, and just you getting back on social media and doing the podcast, that you're in ministry mode. And it's just like, I can see it giving you life. And I'm sitting there going, it's such a testimony to me, because you could just go inward and that would be totally fine. And you are not wasting your cancer day by day, hour by hour. And it's just a great blessing and testimony to me, brother. And I want to say to everybody who has communicated to Bob, either through social media or through the podcast or called him, you are giving him life. It's not burdening him at all. He is enjoying it. He needs to know from you that his journey toward Christ likeness in what might be his final lap is making an impact on people's life. He's been that since all the ministry opportunities that he has taken. So we love you, Bob, and we love the fact that you can be a burden to us.
I now am actually fully embracing that that I can be a burden to you, probably a little bit more than I should. And I want to offer a little bit of pushback. There is one notable exception on people contacting me that hasn't been a blessing, and that's the guy that keeps reaching out to me, willing to do an exorcism on my cancer and trying to convince me that I am currently demon possessed.
That was my false identity on Twitter.
No, you? No, are you serious?
Well, you might as well try. I mean, we got to try everything, right, Bob?
Hey, Bob, we're 5 days away from you getting the news. How are you? How are you feeling about it right now?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, the pain is worse and it's more. It's So, I mean, the hope would be, hey, it's the cancer rebelling against the chemo and it's painful. The suspicion is that it's too aggressive. It's too little, too late. I mean, that's kind of what it. But again, today I'm down. Like the cumulative impact of the chemo has really started taking a toll the last two times. So I'm going to be humanly connected to how I feel, and that's probably going to color everything. I still believe there's earthly hope, right? I'm not completely waving the white flag of surrender. It's just like I'm I'm on a slow downhill trajectory that I'm feeling, and it is what it is. I mean, guys, I'm really okay with living, and I'm really okay with dying. I desperately want to get to Jesus. Yeah, like more than ever. And my imagination is filled with thoughts of him and me with him and me being fully purified, delivered from indwelling sin. And if that's the road I'm on, man, I don't want off it.
Amen. Thank you for joining us today on the Dead Man Talking podcast. We hope this conversation impacted you. And if you know somebody else who could use it and be blessed by it, feel free to share it. Let's remember, we never know how many conversations we have left. So let's be grateful for every single one and make everyone count. God bless, and we look forward to our next talk together.